So, what if our history books are just wrong? What if there was a highly sophisticated civilization thousands of years before Sumer or Egypt that was completely wiped out by a catastrophe from the sun? Well, today, we're digging into the work of Dr. Robert Schoch, who argues that the clues to this lost world are all around us, and that the very same cosmic forces that destroyed it could be a threat to us right now.
All right, let's just dive right in with the mystery that started this whole thing. This one question, you're looking at it right now, has the power to completely rewrite the timeline of human history as we know it.
And this quote, it just perfectly captures the spirit of Dr. Robert Schoch. See, he's a geologist, not an Egyptologist. And that's exactly why he was able to spot something on the Giza Plateau that pretty much everyone else had overlooked, an anomaly that the standard history books just couldn't explain away.
And that leads us to the very first and maybe the biggest piece of this incredible puzzle. It's a clue that's been hiding in plain sight for millennia, carved not by human hands, but by the weather itself.
So the story we're all told is that the Sphinx was built around 2500 BCE. You know, pyramid age stuff. But Schoch, being a geologist, looked at the rock and saw something that just didn't add up. The erosion patterns on the Sphinx and the walls of its enclosure weren't from wind and sand. No way. They were caused by water, lots and lots of rain over a very long time. Now here's the kicker. The Sahara has been a bone-dry desert for thousands of years. The last time there was enough rainfall in that area to cause this kind of damage was way back at the end of the last ice age. We're talking 10,000 BCE or even earlier. That pushes the Sphinx's origin back by 7,000 years to a time we're told people were just simple hunter-gatherers.
Okay, so if the Sphinx is really that old, it can't be a one-off, right? It can't be an anomaly. It has to be part of a much bigger story. And that's exactly what Schoch argues, that it's just one giant clue in a worldwide pattern of a forgotten, highly advanced civilization.
And check this out. This is the new timeline that starts to take shape. Take a look at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. It was only discovered in the 1990s, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. We're talking massive, intricately carved stone pillars, weighing tons, dating all the way back to at least 10,000 BCE. This place didn't slowly evolve, it just appeared, fully formed, thousands of years before we thought humans could pull off something like this. And then, and this might be the weirdest part, around 8,000 BCE, the people who built it, for some reason, intentionally and carefully buried the entire site. They preserved it. But why?
So that's the big question, isn't it? If this incredibly advanced civilization existed before the Ice Age, what on earth happened to it? Where did everybody go? Schoch's hypothesis is that the cause wasn't on Earth at all. It came from the sky, a devastating cataclysm unleashed by our very own sun.
Now, to get what he's talking about, we have to talk about plasma. It's the fourth state of matter, basically a super hot, electrically charged gas. Our sun is just a giant ball of this stuff, and it's always flinging streams of it out into space. Now, most of the time, our planet's magnetic field acts like a shield and protects us, but every now and then, the sun can let loose a truly massive burst, what's called a coronal mass ejection, that is powerful enough to just punch right through our defenses.
And this is where it gets really wild. Schoch, along with his wife Catherine Elisi, started looking at ancient art, and they found that thousands of ancient petroglyphs, symbols, and scripts from cultures all over the globe, cultures that never could have contacted each other, all show the same weird, squiggly, almost abstract shapes. And these shapes, they are a dead ringer for the exact kind of plasma instabilities that modern physicists create in high-energy labs. These are the shapes that would have been seared across the entire sky during a massive solar event. Our ancestors weren't just doodling, they were drawing exactly what they saw in a sky that was literally on fire. I mean, think about it. If the sky was being torn apart by plasma, where would you go? You'd go underground. And this might just be the explanation for the massive ancient underground cities we find all over the world, like Derinkuyu in Turkey. These things weren't just caves, they were complex, multi-level cities that could house thousands of people for long periods. Were they built as cosmic fallout shelters?
But here's the thing. This isn't just a story about the ancient past. Schoch is convinced these massive solar events are cyclical. And that brings us to the most terrifying part of his entire theory. What happened once is probably going to happen again.
You know, we've actually had a little taste of this before. Back in 1859, a solar storm called the Carrington event hit Earth. Now, it was a pretty moderate storm by cosmic standards, but it was still powerful enough to make telegraph systems burst into flames and to create auroras so bright that people in the Caribbean were reading newspapers by their light at midnight. Back then, the world wasn't electric, so the damage was pretty minimal.
Today, a storm like that or bigger would be a civilization-ending event. Our entire world, our finances, our communications, our food supply, our power, it's all built on this incredibly fragile electronic backbone that has almost zero backup. A major solar blast would just fry the whole thing, lights out globally for months or even years.
And this is the ultimate nightmare scenario. When that global blackout happens, the cooling systems at all 442 of the world's nuclear power plants will eventually fail. We wouldn't be talking about one Chernobyl or one Fukushima. We'd be looking at hundreds of them, all melting down at the same time, with absolutely no way to stop it.
So, finally, Schoch argues that this forgotten piece of history and this incredibly urgent warning are all part of a much bigger cosmic truth. A truth that, funny enough, ancient cultures seem to understand intuitively, and that our own modern science is only just now starting to prove with actual data.
This ancient Hermetic saying, as above, so below, well, it turns out it might not just be a metaphor. Schoch's work suggests it's a literal physical fact. The huge events happening out there in the macrocosmos, on the sun, in our galaxy, they have a direct, measurable, and profound impact on everything down here, on life, on geology, maybe even on our consciousness.
And what is truly mind-bending is that some really cutting-edge science seems to back this up. For instance, we're all taught in school that things like the rate of radioactive decay are physical constants. They never change. But recent studies have shown that's not true. They actually fluctuate. And get this, the fluctuations seem to be in sync with solar activity. It's as if the sun is literally reaching out and tweaking the very fabric of matter here on Earth. It's a radical idea, for sure, but it suggests the ancient mystics were onto something big. We're not separate from the cosmos at all. We are a deeply connected part of it.
So, in the end, that's what we're left with. This story of a forgotten civilization, it isn't just about rewriting some dusty old history books. It's a warning, a message in a bottle, encoded in stone and myth from the survivors of the last great cataclysm. It's asking us to look up, to really understand our place in a very active and volatile cosmos, and to ask ourselves a very serious question. Is our advanced yet incredibly fragile civilization ready for the cycle to begin again?